Hey guys, welcome back to Flying in Space with Planethead. I wanted to bring up well, actually, I couldn't fall asleep. So I thought I'd do a video. I had some ideas for it, so earlier today, but didn't get around to doing it. Tried to go to bed, and then um, dog woke me up because she felt like it, and when she wanted to play, and now I'm wide awake. Sorry about that. Um, So I thought I'd take a stab at it here. Got a few just general things I want to bring up, kind of bringing a few things together in my past few videos, um, and show you how I'm using those things. Um, I'm a little bit off right now just because we had the daylight savings time. So normally it's about 1:30 in the morning. Uh, so, but long story short, we'll get into it. So, what am I doing daily? I thought I'd bring that up, and then I talked a little bit about this in the past about how I'm using my two other alts on this account to help out my wormhole experience. And I did something that I have refused to do 99% of the time during this 100-day experiment. But I've found that I really needed to do this one thing, and I'll talk about that near the middle to the end of the video, which has really helped me um, with my wormhole experience. So, and I think will help me in the future, and I hope will help you guys. But long story short, I just booted in. When I booted in, um, you've seen in the past, I'll just go through some things that I've done in some prior videos, but bring it all together. Number one, I am currently in my safe spot here in the wormhole. I've got my D scan on, making sure nobody's looking for me. Again, this is only my alpha character that I'm flying this first 100 days. So no cloak, got to be a little bit more careful. When I booted in, I pulled up my probe launcher. There it is, right down here. And basically saw that there were four signatures, 1, 2, 3, and I just scanned down this fourth one. Why haven't I scanned down these three? I've talked about it in the past. I keep a little notepad up over here while living out here in wormhole space where I just log what type of wormhole is each one. And I put little notations. Um, and I've grown with my knowledge. I knew a little bit about wormhole space from when I used to play a long time ago. But what I used to do back then was basically like like 10% of wormhole stuff. I would have to say now I'm at about a 25 to 30%. A lot of stuff to learn. But the one thing I'm really focused on is saving time. And I talked about in the last video where you use a little bit different tactics, I think, out here in wormhole space to save yourself time, but also gain yourself time by causing other people to waste time. So, um, uh, it is really out. It's kind of cutthroat out here. Not cutthroat, but you have to be very careful. And I won't get into that. So, um, this is what I've got a problem with right here. This right here. I hope you can see it. Um, uh, this is no Amanda. No. Okay. This is my girl right here. She wants to say hi to everybody. Unfortunately, my bed is right next to my chair. All right, lie down. Off. Go. 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 That's the one that woke me up. I don't know how that well that turned out. I just turned my computer. That'll be kind of fun. Um, so that if you can ever get somebody like that to hang out with you for 9 years, do it. Um, long story short, um, I pulled up. Let's descan again just to make sure. And I have my notepad out here. I'd already scanned down these three sites here in a prior session today, so I knew what they were. One site went away. Amanda, go away. Go lie down. Go lie down. Shoo. Go lie down. It's normally asleep at this time. I got no food for you. Go lie down. No. Good girl. Okay. Now you're going to stare at me. So I'm really trying to stay focused here. So I had the other 3 sites scanned down here. This again saves me that amount of time. If you think about the amount of time it takes you to scan down a site, if you log offline back on in again, I just saved myself 75% of the time, or more than that, by not having to scan them down. Second thing that I've learned, and I knew a little bit about this in the past, I'll talk a little bit more about this in the future in later on in the video, but I noticed that the site that had disappeared when I was here earlier popped back. There was a new site, and you'll see it here, the TVK. It was a wormhole. The last site that I had was a wormhole to HiSec. And I just scanned this down and had warp to it right before I started the video, and it is a HiSec um, wormhole. I have not gone through it yet to see what it is. I wanna take you on that journey. Um, but I'm learning more about static wormholes. I did not realize that the different types of wormhole systems that you can be in um, were dependent. The wormholes out of it were static sites that were out of it were dependent upon the type of site, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit, hopefully. Um, so keep this interesting. There is my site there, and let's just go find out what's going on with it. We're going to figure out where that site goes to. So let's go ahead and warp directly to it. Now the first thing that I'd like to do is, if you notice here, it's at 2.01 AU, so that's far enough away here. I only have that. Do I have that at 14.3? So I know that nobody's guarding that site directly. They don't have a bubble up or anything. So I am going to go ahead and just warp to that at 0. Once I get there, just jump through, see where it takes me. And you'll be able to see it too. I have no idea where this goes. But I'll show you what I do once I go through that HiSec site. There's a couple steps that I do to keep myself safe, to save time. Number 1, let's go ahead and show the info on it. It is beginning to decay. So that's big. And here's a high security, and it's a larger ship. You can go through it. Now I'm in my little frigate here, so I have no worries about that. We are going to enter the wormhole. Let's get to that wormhole as quickly as possible, just in case. Good, good, good. So I've jumped in here. Now, before I look at the site at all, always remember to save the wormhole. I will put this down for 2 days. That way, if I have to log back off and log back in later on, hopefully I can get to this quickly as long as it doesn't decay. But I'm not going to put it on there for never. I don't want this to stay forever. There are no stations here. I'm in an Amatar mandate system, so I'm in derelict. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull up our Eve quickly. Statland. That was not helpful. Good, good, good. So we'll go down here to derelict. Open. Oh, shoot. Didn't want that. I didn't want to go to that advertisement. Derelict, good. So pretty large HiSec system. This is a, I think derelict is a area that is owned by the Amatar. It's an Amatar region, which is, if I remember correctly, the lore of Eve. It's Minmatar people who are basically part of the Amar Empire. So go. Now, and where am I at here? I am in Zaid. I have never heard of Zaid. This is one of the best parts, I think, about living at a wormhole. I have jumped out of the wormholes into space, whether it be nullsec, highsec, lowsec, to places I have never been to, and I get to check out. We're going to check out Zaid here. So Zaid, I have terrible. Sometimes I try to find. Oh, well, there it is, right there. Ha! Normally I have a terrible time trying to find these spots, but it is sitting right there. So no system here, but there is a station over here in Favihi. Favihi. Terrible with these names. So, and then nothing real close here. So I want to go to Favihi. I have a reason for that. So let's get that back up here. Favihi is right there. We're going to jump. Not a terrible system. We're at a 0.9 status. Might as well reload our scan probes here. No reason for them to be sitting in my cargo hold. I wonder if you get killed with your drones in your probe launcher, whether or not those are droppable or they automatically get destroyed. That's an interesting thing. I wonder if ammo loaded will drop. I probably find that out by looking at the kill board. If you notice how I just worded that, I'm going to go ahead and dock at the closest station I can get to here. I didn't. I worded it as when I die versus when I kill somebody. In other words, I am so bad at PvP that I refer to things as to when I die versus whenever I kill people. Like if I were to kill somebody, would I get their probes if they were loaded into their probe launcher? That is somebody who is a good PvP player versus somebody like me who is a bad PvP player who refers to when he dies. So I'm docking up here. There is a specific reason. And I'm just going to show it to you here. I talked about it previously, but I'm going to do it now. So long story short, I was able to find a very nice wormhole. Nice ruin site. Now, normally I would wait until I have more loot here to throw down, but I thought I would just go ahead and drop it off here. And now that it is here, what I will do is highlight it and create a contract. Create a contract for that. Where'd it go? Oh, it's underneath. Okay. And I'm going to do it privately to Jeremiah Johnson, 72. Whoop, not John. Johnson, 72. Good. On behalf of... Nope. Item exchange. Next. So what I'm doing is I have 3 characters on this account. Jeremiah Johnson is not affiliated with my corporation, and he is just my hauling character that I created a couple of weeks ago. I did a couple videos on that. What I'm doing is I'm contracting out to him to come pick up my stuff and take it to either one of our home bases or to take it to sell. And that gets me, let's say I were to boot up a game and my wormhole is filled with a bunch of people who are trying to kill me. I can log out and just move some stuff around, take care of that side of it. So always look to do something active, but if you're held up with that, you can use that time to go take care of other things. So that's what I'm doing here. So I've created a contract, and then I'm going to go next. And I'm not going to pay anything. He's not going to pay anything. It expires in 2 weeks. So I got 2 weeks to move this stuff. I don't have to do it right away. Now, as an alpha character, I think I can only create 1 contract. So if I want to do another one of these, I have to either move that stuff, accept that contract, and take care of it, or let it run out. And I can put a description in here. Um, salvage to market. Good. All set, done. I've got it written up here and finished. Really create the contract? Yes. Create that contract. There we go. So, long story short, now you always want to double check the name here. Now, I'll just show you here. Wait. Am I stupid? Ah! Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Uh, so I made the mistake. I created a contract to myself. What I meant to do was create the contract to my transport character, BJ and the Bear. I wonder what happens whenever you create a contract. I'm going to go ahead and accept this. Yeah, that is funny. That's weird. Close. It's been assigned to me. Cannot accept it. Okay, let's try and reject it. Contract. That is so funny. I am so... Okay, delete that. Let's try this again. Wow, maybe I should get some sleep. Okay, we can do that. Create the contract. You guys might have even seen that I was doing that, or if you didn't, that was funny. Okay, so my transport character, and this is why I made it this way so I wouldn't forget him, is BJ and the Bear. There he is. There we go. And then next, 2 weeks, salvage to market. Good. Next. And now we'll pull up the name. Before I do anything else, before I accept anything, click on that. There he is. BJ and the Bear. That's my transport character. Hit finish. There we go. Okay. So it's going to cost me 10,000 ISK. Who cares about 10,000 ISK? Honestly. Once you get in this game, 10,000 ISK is like less than a penny in the real world. So, got that all done. Let's get back home. Okay? So, oh. Well, that's interesting. I've actually been here before. Is that right? There was another wormhole to this system. Huh. Did not think I'd ever been here before. Okay. So, we want to go back over to Zaid. Jump. Wormhole. And wormhole. Those should probably be deleted out. I don't need those anymore. I wonder if it has a date when I showed those. So a date. Be interesting to see. It doesn't clean up some of my wormholes there. I don't need a wormhole in high sec. I like non-expiring wormholes in low sec and null sec, but I don't really need them in high sec. Okay, so there's my safe wormhole. So I'm going to go ahead and warp to that. And that is how I do. I go ahead and drop stuff off. Now, normally I will wait until I get at least over 50 million ISK, but I wanted to just show you how I do that. It gives me 2 weeks to come pick that stuff up. Also forces me to fly my my transport character to that location. And as I'm going through, I can check out the systems in that area and see what's going on. Enter. We are all good. check the system. Always do it. Always sit back for a second, and then warp to a location. It's my safe spot. So a couple other. So that is what I kind of do. There's other things that I've been doing in the wormhole, just checking some things out. One big note: I don't leave a mobile depot out unless I really need it. Um, uh, if I'm going, let's say I have 50 million ISK worth of salvage in the system, I'll drop that mobile depot and leave that salvage there and go there and try to hack it so that if I do die, I have my third character, um, Bruiser McBruise, in system so that if I do die, I can get back into that system. But I don't leave that mobile depot out all the time because if you leave the mobile depot out, somebody can scan down the mobile depot, then they know your save spot. Now, you do want to move your save spot around a little bit, but you don't want to leave it out unless you have to. You've seen me in the past. I do drop it so I can change my fittings out. Um, and I will drop it if I'm doing a little bit of views and things like that. But so that was one big thing I wanted to give you guys a heads up on was don't overuse your mobile depots if you don't have to. Thank goodness I have this carbon in here. I don't know why I have that still. So the second part too is anytime I go to my save spot, I will try to at least put myself into motion. Why do I do this? Because if I get a little bit lackadaisical with hitting my hotkey for my directional scanning, and somebody does combat probe me down, at least I will be in motion, and it might give me that extra second or two to get away if they decide to come at me. Now, could I could also put it in a specific direction going toward a planet, and I'll be aligned. I can jump away a lot faster, but I don't care. Sorry. Okay, so last thing I wanted to do was talk about the things that one thing that I've said I didn't like doing down in Stain, in low sec, whenever I was flying around, when I was coming back, I wanted this to be a lot more active. I've been watching, I don't have any problem with watching other videos, but I don't like looking up specifics until I've tried things out for a while. Especially down in Stain, I really wanted to live out there. I wanted to try it out as a living, breathing, everyday wake up and try something new. With Wormhole Space, I was watching a video with Ashtarothi, I think is his name. I've watched a lot of his videos, seen a lot of his interviews on Talking with Stations. If you've never watched either one of those, that guy or the video stream of Talking Stations, really good side stuff to watch. Sometimes they talk about stuff that doesn't interest me, but other times just the interviews that they have are really good and really fun. And one thing he said offhandedly, I truly believe, the more and more I think about it. And he said that after I've only been doing this for a couple of weeks, he said, living in Wormhole Space is like playing a completely different game than living in Eve everywhere else. And it's got the same mechanics as far as the same ships and things like that, but the environment and how you have to play, it's like they took this separate game that looks like Eve and attached it to Eve, but it's a completely different experience. And I'm not sure if that's exactly how he said it, but I think that's what he was trying to say, and I am 100% on board with that. Because number one, it is truly, I've been searching for an active gameplay. It is a truly active gameplay scenario where you have to be constantly watching out for things. You notice I'm just keeping up my directional scan. It is a vibrant gameplay style in the fact that with the changing wormholes, you can have obviously some large groups that live out here, but to own an empire of space, you can't do. You can't say we own this group of 5 systems and we defend these spots, you can basically hold systems, and unless you owned all 2,500 systems in wormhole space, um, you are it's much less. Amanda, no, go lie down. I'm trying to talk here to my whole 10 people who watch these videos. But that is what I have really learned. I learned so much living out in Spain, living in an NPC space. I had, when I used to play, lived in low sec and in null sec, PC controlled. But I learned a lot living out in Spain for the first 70 days, 60 days that I was out there. And now I'm learning so much living in wormhole space. Um, but the one problem with wormhole space is there's an initial limit as to what you can do, and then if you do some research as far as what the world is like out here, um, then it helps your gameplay. I don't like power gaming, looking for the perfect fit, and I I like building fits and building ships and trying things out with what I've got around me. Um, so I don't look up a whole lot of information until I'm specifically looking at one type of gun or one type of thing. I like using the compare tool. But with living in wormhole space, I found that it really helped me to learn some information about the world in general. And what I mean by that, and before I do anything else, let's just check to make sure there's no. Cool. Okay, no new sites. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two things. Number one, I'm going to go ahead and pull up uh, Eve wormhole. Yeah, I can spell. Okay, so wormhole attributes. I actually started reading up on some of the wormhole types and attributes. Actually, I'm into this site. This is different. Like I said, there's so much information on here. I will not bother with this. This is not what I want to do. But before I do anything else, I'm going to let's just make sure nobody's around. I'm going to actually log off. Log off safely. Okay, because I'm going to be distracted and I don't need anybody combat scanning me down while I talk about this part. So this is this is a site that I would not use. I don't want specifics as to sites. Maybe if I got a corporation together or joined a corporation, I might use this to help other players. But living the way I am right now, at least for the next 20 days, I want to live within the system. Like if I got in my car and drove to Ohio, I want to just go. And as I'm driving through, I might pull up Google Maps for the um, the day and see what's close to me, but I'm not going to plan out my trip to Ohio. Same thing that I'm doing here. I'm not going to and know exactly the distance from here to here to here to here. I want to live there. Same thing as I'm doing here. I would not pull up this site, but what I would do is go into just Eve wormholes. There we go. And the other day I started off here. Now there's some other ultimate guides and stuff like that, but this is the one that I went to. And it explained to me, gave me some really good basic information that I didn't know and was really helpful. And I want to tell you, if you want to try out Wormhole Space, go to this page first. I'm probably going to use this page to make a few other future videos as I delve farther into this that I learned as a beginning player within Wormhole Space, and I learn vicariously. Um, a great example, if I remember correctly, is um, how to read the wormhole text as you're jumping into them. Down here is your wormholes that you're going through. Remember earlier when I pulled up the type of wormhole and it said it was high sec, and it said it was beginning to to decay. That means that wormhole's lifespan is between 4 and 24 hours, so it's fresh. We've got plenty of time to get in and out. If it's reaching end of life, I've got less than 4 hours. That's just the timer on it. There's also a mass restriction. So if you've got people going in and out of it a lot, or large ships going in and out, your mass sizes will cause it to shut down even faster than this up here. But this is stuff that I learned, and I kind of knew, but I learned general basic specifics, if that means anything. I am not looking for exact timing. I just want to give a good feel for it. So if I want to take a chance, I can and have fun that way. And then I also started to talk about, and this is why I really got into it. If you talk about the different, this gives you some examples here of when you look at a wormhole, what it looks like. You can actually tell by the color of the wormhole whether or not what systems it goes to, where you're in currently, the types of systems, how old the system is, or I'm sorry, how old the wormhole is, that sort of thing. Um, if if they really wanted to go crazy, they could shut this off, and you would have to just go by the color of it to get a feel for how long you've got. They didn't do that. They're kind of nice. But then the other one, if I remember correctly, is this one here. I think it's a wormhole space. And this is another one that I read through that was really, really helpful that I would suggest. Because it just gives you an overview. I only read it once. I may refer back to it in future videos, but I'm not going to go nuts. I'm not going to read through it. But to give you an example, and this is something I never knew, and it was something that just finally dawned on me, and it was what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. I didn't completely understand statics, and right here it explains statics. It says what types of statics can actually show up depending upon the wormhole systems. So if you're in the lowest level of wormhole system, the basic wormhole system, then there might be a static to nullsec, lowsec, or highsec here. Now there may be random wormholes to other places, but you're going to get at least one of these, okay? So that's kind of a good thing to know. You go down here, level 2, you've got a couple possible statics, a highsec and a C1, a highsec and a C3, a highsec and a C4. See how they, so depending on the system that you start maybe living in, what you're looking for, this is very helpful. C3, get back down to that. A C4, notice this is the huge change between the two. So we've got jumps into, and this is just statics, to highsec, lowsec, and nullsec. You go to a C4 or above, your statics are only to other wormhole space systems. There is a chance that you could randomly find a nullsec, highsec, or lowsec system, but is not guaranteed that that system will have it. And quite frankly, in my view, it'll be a little bit rare. So really, it's kind of neat. I'll give you an example of how I would play this to begin with, and I may start doing this is, and this is going to sound very strange. This will be my final thoughts because it really brought me back to this. When I was younger, in my early 20s, I had some good friends, and we started playing strategy games. And old school, we played old school Risk. Gotta get a little bit of water here. Most people have played Risk before. I used to be really, really good at it. And I was really looking forward to playing with my friends to play Risk. This was 25 years ago. They all knew that I was really good at strategy games because we played other ones, and I usually did really well. Well, we pulled up Risk, and I got a little bit annoyed because everybody gets their turns, and they all turned on me at the start of the game. They were like, do not let him get started. Do not let him get a continent because he will win the game. And I'm not tooting my own horn. I just love strategy games. So I had three other guys turn on me and try to kill me right off the bat at the beginning of the game. And I died, I think, the first time pretty quickly. And they knew that one of the goals in Risk is to find a continent, take it over, so then you can start producing more armies and then try to hold that area and move on. Well, I turned it around on them, and I looked at it very similar to uh, wormhole space, very similar to the way I did Risk. Um, every turn that I played, rather than shoot for a continent, the first 5 to 10 turns that I played, I only made one move. I took um, my area, the largest area that I had. I built up my armies into it, and then I looked for the weakest position of any of my compatriots. Is that right? Or your antagonists, the guys who I was fighting against, and I looked for their weakest spot. If there was a run through of an area, like let's say I was in uh, a map in Asia, and somebody had one army in uh, uh, northern Asia, and then a little bit into one army into upper Europe, and another army into up. So they had a weakness there. I would send my armies through that hole, and um, and basically send them on a suicide mission to take as many territories as possible to open up a hole there. So they would have to plug that hole, and I would be tempting the other players to then go after that hole, go after those guys. Um, I know that this is a long story, but I apologize. What ended up happening was, after a couple turns, their strategy of just going after me first became more of a, oh, close this hole up before anybody else notices it, and they would get greedy and start fighting amongst themselves. As this was going on, I was slowly, I wasn't getting a whole lot of armies, but I wasn't losing a lot, and I was slowly moving my little empire around until suddenly they'd forgotten about me for a turn or two, and suddenly I might get South Africa or South America, or have a chance of getting Africa, or maybe even Australia, or something like that. And I think of wormhole space as something very similar. You're forced to have an area at any point in time. One of the big groups could come in and blow you up and kick you out. Don't I would not fret about that. What I would do is not keep all of my stuff in that wormhole. I would do what I'm doing right now, but on a larger scale. Every time I get something that's important, get it to high sec. Use transport ships. If you have, and I didn't mean to do this, but I've actually set myself up now that if I do start living in wormhole space, I now have a transport character that I can move stuff to. And let's say I wanted to set up shop in a new wormhole. I now know the layouts, which wormholes will get to high sec, and possibly have a static all the time. I also have the ability to get the important equipment there, and that'll just get better and better. So it's not an exact thing, but similar to my story, but using the same tactics, you can be successful. So if I were to start or create a corporation and get things going, that's probably what I would want to do. So just some thoughts, just some ideas. Really, me going down a rabbit hole in the whole wormhole thing, but how I look at. I was trying to think of, if I wanted to stay in wormhole space, what would make it interesting for me for 6 months, a year, multiple years, and I think that's where I would go. So, any thoughts, any ideas, please just pop them my way. Um, you saw my names on there. You can send me a message, Jeremiah Johnson 72, or if you would just comment. I'd love to hear your comments on YouTube. Um, Happy to see that. Uh, and thank you so much for listening to me ramble on. I'm going to play a little bit more and then probably get some sleep. You guys fly safe, fly dangerously, fly however the heck you want, and you have a good old day. Alrighty.